Hello people, welcome back to our IAS YouTube channel. So in the Ecology Environment lecture series, today's session will be dealing completely about the climate change, its causes, its impacts, its global warming and potential greenhouse effect, types of carbon like brown and black carbon, and climate forcing. These are the concepts that I'll be discussing with you in today's session. The first thing is that climate change. Now what's a climate change? It's a long-term average of any of the weather events that is occurring for a period of, like suppose a kind of 100 years. If you consider what kind of changes in climate, what kind of changes in temperature, precipitation, or sea level changes, everything all in all in totality, when you try to measure, that is climate change. Just like this in the diagram, if you can see rise in sea levels, forest fires, you check out some major drought seasons, then heat waves, or some kind of deforestation, or the considering the fact that tsunamis, the vagaries of environment and weather. So all in all is what climate change is all about. Why the climate change is important? Because every year and year, if you see, the temperatures are increasing, sea level is decreasing because of the increased temperatures, pollution is increasing, vegetation as is at loss, glaciers are melting, temperature at 28% is increasing. So there's a many other impacts because of the climate change that is risking the 1-2 degree temperature rise in temperature below the before the pre-industrial levels will have a severe impact on the water availability in the future, species extinction, extreme weather conditions, sea level rise. People will also get affected because of the heat waves. Many people will die. The economic cost increases towards these health related impacts because of the climate change, and many more things. That is what is happening due to climate risk. And the potential impacts are in terms of health, agriculture, forest, water resource, and coastal areas, as well as some on the species. What are the actual causes? Why is it occurring? Naturally, if you see, because of the tilt of the earth axis, or because of the natural forest fires that occur because of pine trees or any kind of a coniferous trees, and then some volcanic eruptions which rise naturally, and some sunspot cycles which occur every 11 years because of the solar flares, and that also causes climate change on the natural hand. When you see the anthropogenic causes, the main factors are like deforestation because of the urbanization, increased vehicular emissions, greenhouse gases, industries, emissions from the carbon dioxide. All in all, these are also contributing to the climate change. So the same slide in this has been mentioned in form of a diagrammatic format. And land and ocean factors, it is increasing tectonic factors like volcanic emissions and continental drift is causing some kind of a change for the climate change to occur. So all in all, totality is causing the anthropogenic, and the natural causes are impacting the climate change. Now, what happens is that because of this climate change, the temperatures on the Earth's surface gets increased because vehicular emissions of 25% will not allow the outgoing radiation to go out, and then some kind of pollutions from the industries itself will cause 25% of absorption of all the material, because of which this layer is actually formed because of the exhaustive pollution that are caused on the Earth's surface. Because of this white layer, the radiation doesn't get out of this white portion. When the radiation doesn't get emitted, what happens is, the radiation is nothing but the temperature, hot warm air, it will not be allowed to go out. Then the temperature here itself will get increased. That is only called as the global warming phenomena. So considering this fact, I'm sure, pretty sure you might have understood what's the actual difference between climate change and global warming. Both of them are different. Global warming is a component of a climate change, because climate change is a vast concept considering precipitations, solar flares, and many other things that it will try to define by. But global warming is only about the temperature factor of the climate system. Any kind of a changes in the temperature, direct impact of the temperature, because of which some ocean currents have been occurring, or some kind of snow cover is reducing, glaciers are retreating. So all in all, these are the indicators as how the global warming phenomena occurs in the world as a total. So sea level rise, melting glaciers at the Greenland, Antarctica, humans will burn some kind of a fossil fuel, because of which carbon is emitted out. Carbon emission will increase the carbon dioxide percentage in the air. Increase in carbon percentage will increase the air temperature. Thereby, that air temperature increases also when it falls in form of rain. It will increase the ocean temperature. Ocean acidification occurs. So everything is interlinked when the global warming phenomena, if you can observe. Now comes the greenhouse gas effect, or the greenhouse concept. First, basically understand the greenhouse in temperate conditions. Like if you see some North Indian state like Uttarakhand or even Northeast states, the temperatures, usual temperatures are very cold, right, in all throughout the year. So there the plants usually don't grow. So for that purpose they construct these greenhouse kind of glass kind of a structure. Because of this, what happens is when the heat is radiated out from the surface, glass is not very transparent for the outgoing radiation. Thus the inside temperature inside the greenhouse will be warm. This warmness will give sufficient temperature for the plant's growth. The same concept is applied to the Earth's atmosphere also. What happens is we have a cover around us, which is caused because of the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, like water vapor, like methane. Such gases, what they will do is when the increase in concentration of the greenhouse gases increases, they will form a layer around the Earth's surface. This layer will not allow the outgoing radiation to go out, because of which global warming is more impacting. The same way, if you see some, there are some aerosols, clouds, ozone and greenhouse gases, which is not helping the outgoing radiation to escape. Unless this outgoing radiation gets out, until then we will not have a cooling effect on the earth's surface. Because of these portion, such kind of a gases are called as greenhouse effect gases and greenhouse gases, and such kind of an effect where the warming of the earth's temperature because of the greenhouse gases is called the greenhouse effect. So if you see, you will understand in a synoptic manner that this surface is very good, like incoming radiation is there, outgoing radiation is there. But here if you see, incoming is more, but whereas the outgoing is very less compared to this left portion, because here the increase in temperature, as there is less heat that is escaping out because of the increase in temperature. That is why the Paris Climate Summit also said, the COP summit, which is a climate negotiations that are going every year, says that let's not increase the 2-degree rise of temperature, because the carbon dioxide the component of the carbon dioxide on the earth's surface has already reached the 400 ppm limit. So if you are considering this fact, if you try to increase its concentration more, then what happens is global warming is going to increase. And natural greenhouse effect normally usually occurs that because there is some concentration of carbon dioxide present, there is concentration of water vapor present. But in human induced greenhouse effect, what happens is, if you see this layer, it is not no more blue, it is red, because the temperatures is increasing. Because what happens is, the carbon dioxide has to be some percentage of point, not 3 percentage in the earth's surface. But what you have made is, you have made it to 50 percentage, because of which the heat is trapped inside this. When the heat is trapped, the temperature usually increases. So what are the consequences because of the global warming? You have sea ice melting, sea level rise, regional climate changes, coral reef will get damaged, fish stocks will decline because of the heated temperatures even in the ocean water. So these are some of the consequences of the global warming. So greenhouse gases are which all? Carbon dioxide, methane, N2O, PFCs, perfluorocarbons, SF6 and water vapor. So these comprises the greenhouse gases, and each of the greenhouse gases, how much percentage of the impact on greenhouse effect is causing is mentioned in this slide with the percentages. The more percentage is water vapor and that of the carbon dioxide. So that I have mentioned in this slide. Water vapor is the biggest contributor for the evaporation, thus causing a lot of vapor to be in the atmosphere, that thus not allowing the outgoing radiation to get out of it. Carbon dioxide is another form. Methane is from the wetlands, paddy fields, industries and waste from the homes. Nitrogen oxides is from the bacteria breaking it up in the nitrogen cycle, as well as in transportation and industry. So these are some of the greenhouse gases that is impacted. Now greenhouse gases come from these, see, this carbon dioxide is coming from these exhausts, and then methane and nitrogen oxide comes from these electricity power plants, and the third one, PFCs and HFCs, come from your refrigerators, air conditionings and some kinds of planes also. Because of this is causing an hindrance for the outgoing radiation, thus causing the global warming. And there's a now small concept regarding the global warming potential, which is nothing but the greenhouse gases have the capacity to absorb the energy. The more energy they absorb, more time they exist on the earth's surface, thus creating a lot of heat temperature being trapped on the atmosphere. So if you see, carbon dioxide will trap one, has one global warming potential, whereas the largest is a sulfur hexafluoride. Now what happens is sulfur hexafluoride will stay for around its lifetime on the earth's surface is about 3200 years. That means the more amount of time these gases will stay on the earth's surface, the more is the global warming impact on the earth's surface. That is what you have to understand. The last concept of this today's discussion is the climate forcings. Climate forcings are nothing but the different kinds of factors that are causing these changes in the climate. Those are called the forcings. Forcing in the sense driving agents or the forcing mechanisms because of which these climate change is occurring. As how there is a positive as well as a negative feedback. Now negative feedback is those kind of a things where cooling happens on the earth's surface. Why does the cooling happen? Because we have a cooling effect, like temperatures are decreasing more and more, and thus lots of polar ice caps are increasing, and thus the temperatures are coming down. That is negative feedback, which is mentioned here. Creating the changes slow down the warming, whereas in positive feedback, speeding up of the global warming, that is causing the climate change. So in both the way it is dangerous for this environment, because you should have a balanced temperature. You imagine where the place you belong to, if it is too cold and too warm, will you be able to survive in such a kind of habitat? No, right? So that is why climate feedback is very important, and we have to maintain a balance between both of them so that global warming will be reduced. So the next concept is the aerosol concept, where the aerosol are nothing but, in the diagram you can understand, aerosols are released by the nitrogen oxide, sulfates, ammonium coming from the industries and urban areas, as well as from the forest fires, volcanoes and oceans, phytoplanktons and vegetation as well. So the small dust particles, which is comprising about a very minute nature, this will absorb all the radiation in the environment. Thus when it absorbs the heat radiation, the temperature of the surfaces increases. So that is, the aerosol is minute particle where are sufficiently large enough, thus it will scatter the sunlight and it will stop the visibility, because it will occupy all the visible rays inside it and it will not allow it to go out. Aerosols are also one kind of a greenhouse mechanisms that is causing the global warming phenomena. So type of aerosols are the stratospheric and tropospheric. So in both the layers we have the aerosols that are impacting, and aerosols in tropospheric are very dangerous because they have a direct impact on climatic changes, because tropospheric is a layer of the earth's surface where lots of climate change weather impacts have happened in earlier times. Also stratospheric, it will have an indirect effect because not much climate changes occur here, but yet the kind of planes or any kind of radio wave mechanisms can be affected because of these aerosols pollution also. Then when coming to aerosols concept, you have to understand something called the brown carbon as well as a black carbon. Now what's a brown carbon? When something organic matter, when it is burnt and small dust particles come out of it, small soot kind of particles will come out of naturally burnt substances. This is a forest fire, suppose this is naturally been occurring, or organic substances, then from the organic substances by the plants, animals burning, that is called the brown carbon. Whereas black carbon comes from the inorganic matter, like the heavy industries or the pollution from the plant, from the vehicle exhaust, as well as when you try to cut down the trees by burning it. So all these are man-made, anthropogenic as well as the inorganic substances, whereas this is organic level burning with derived carbon, that is called brown, and as well as a black carbon. So some of the previous year's question, just kindly note it down, like which of the following are the adding the carbon dioxide to the carbon cycle of earth. So one thing is that you can right away say that photosynthesis, consider the photosynthesis factor, it will not add carbon dioxide, in fact it will reduce the carbon dioxide because of a lot of plants. So one is anyway eliminated, and second one, respiration will add carbon dioxide, very true. Volcanic action also adds carbon dioxide, and when you decay carbon also it will impact. So what are the answers? 2, 3 and 4 is the answer for this question. The next question is, what kind of emissions are coming from thermal power plants? Thermal power plants gives us all the kinds of different gaseous emissions which are mentioned here. So the answer is 1, 2 and 3. So in the next session, let's continue the session with carbon capture, storage and some kind of mechanisms that have been derived or designed as a strategy to reduce the climate change impact. Before I end this session, do check out the Aurora IAS certs personal guidance program who will guide you step by step, who is an experienced mentor with all the material support and guidance and constant motivation. Do check out the program, you will benefit a lot, promise and trust me, because this is an unique kind of a trademark initiative where people have been benefited. You can always check out the website for the feedbacks of the kind of material and support we are providing. So please do check out this program by contacting the further details. So until the next session, Jai Hind.